heated budget showdown as mayor faces pushback over corporate head tax. A tense budget debate erupted at City Hall as Mayor Brenda John framed the dispute as a choice between supporting working families or siding with major corporations. The mayor's proposed corporate head tax, a $21 per month fee per employee for companies with over 100 workers, became the focal point of the clash. Opponents argued the tax would drive businesses away, worsen downtown vacancies, lower property values, and ultimately shift the burden onto homeowners already dealing with steep tax increases. The Finance Committee rejected the mayor's revenue plan in a 25-10 vote, insisting the city must identify further efficiencies before imposing new taxes. In response, Mayor John criticized lawmakers for protecting wealthy corporations instead of everyday residents, and vowed to oppose any budget containing grocery taxes, garbage fee hikes, or property tax increases. Despite pressure, he affirmed the head tax will remain in the budget. As both sides traded political barbs, the mayor challenged council members to propose alternative cuts, while they pointed to a consultant's report with suggested reforms. The Finance Committee will revisit the matter in early December as the budget showdown continues. U.S. escalates military presence in Caribbean amid possible talks with Venezuela. The United States has intensified its military activity in the Caribbean as it begins joint training exercises with Trinidad and Tobago while deploying major naval and air assets near Venezuela. President Trump signaled that Washington may open discussions with Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro, even as the U.S. expands Operation Southern Spear, a large-scale show of force involving more than a dozen warships, 15,000 troops, the USS Gerald Ford aircraft carrier, multiple destroyers, fighter jets, and a B-52 bomber. At the same time, the State Department has designated another cartel, allegedly linked to Maduro, as a foreign terrorist organization and released footage of its 21st airstrike on suspected drug smuggling vessels. Despite U.S. threats of potential strikes on Venezuelan soil, Maduro called for peace over the weekend, even singing John Lennon's Imagine. When asked whether he would seek congressional approval for any military action, President Trump said he would keep Congress informed but does not plan to request authorization. Louisiana governor backs ICE operations as New Orleans faces increased federal activity. Louisiana Governor Josh Landry confirmed that federal authorities, including ICE and Border Patrol, are preparing heightened operations in the New Orleans metro area as part of ongoing efforts to combat violent crime and undocumented criminal activity. Landry highlighted recent cooperation with federal partners, noting a summer crackdown in Baton Rouge and the establishment of the Louisiana lockup facility to detain high-risk offenders. Local officials, including Kenner Police Chief Keith Conley, have long warned that illegal alien-related crime has plagued parts of the region, prompting a recent raid at a city boat launch where multiple individuals were taken into federal custody. Landry said residents overwhelmingly support stronger enforcement to keep communities safe, regardless of offenders' backgrounds. In a separate topic, the governor promoted Louisiana's economic growth while criticizing New York City's political direction, inviting residents to move south to a state he says values capitalism, safety, and opportunity. Homeland Security Secretary praises ICE as Operation Charlotte's Web, targets violent offenders. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem defended ongoing immigration enforcement operations in Charlotte, where ICE agents are conducting Operation Charlotte's Web to arrest undocumented individuals accused of serious crimes including robbery, assault, and DUI. Noem said the operation is progressing well, with multiple arrests already made and removals underway, emphasizing that federal agents are focused on the worst of the worst to improve community safety. Responding to viral protest footage showing demonstrators aggressively confronting officers, Noem criticized activists for undermining law enforcement and noted that agents have faced increasingly dangerous attacks, including vehicles being used as weapons. She thanked ICE personnel for their work despite hostility and urged public support. The secretary reiterated her commitment to backing agents who, she said, risk their lives daily to keep American communities safe. Trump signals willingness to target foreign drug facilities to combat U.S. overdose crisis. Former President Donald Trump said he would be proud to authorize strikes against cocaine production sites abroad, including factories in Colombia, as part of a broader effort to stop narcotics from entering the United States. Although he stated he was not announcing any imminent action, Trump argued that dismantling foreign drug operations could save millions of lives. He claimed the U.S. already has full surveillance of drug trafficking routes and detailed intelligence on cartel leaders, saying the ongoing influx of narcotics is like a war, costing hundreds of thousands of American lives annually. When asked whether such actions would require Mexico's cooperation, Trump said he has been in communication with Mexican officials and believes Congress, both Republicans and Democrats, would ultimately support aggressive measures to protect Americans from drug-related deaths. Trump says he supports full Epstein files release but calls scandal a Democrat problem. Former President Donald Trump said he would support House Republicans' bill to release the full Jeffrey Epstein files, insisting he has nothing to do with Epstein, and claiming Democrats were the ones closely connected to the disgraced financier. In a televised interview, Trump accused figures like Larry Summers and former President Bill Clinton of frequently visiting Epstein's island, arguing that political opponents were trying to use the issue to distract from what he described as his administration's successes on pricing, affordability, energy policy, and foreign conflicts. Trump said the government had already released 50,000 pages related to Epstein but complained that, similar to the JFK and Martin Luther King Jr. document releases, critics never think it's enough. He reiterated that he would allow full transparency, saying, "Give them everything, let anybody look at it," but warned against letting the scandal overshadow Republican accomplishments, or the political fallout he claims Democrats face over the recent government shutdown, while asserting that some Epstein associates are now being looked at very seriously. Trump insisted repeatedly that he was not close to Epstein, stating, "They were with him all the time. I wasn't." He concluded that the Epstein controversy is a Democrat problem, and urged Republicans not to let it distract from their broader agenda. ICE director defends nationwide crackdowns as protests escalate in Portland. In a wide-ranging interview, acting ICE Director Todd Lyons addressed both escalating protests in Portland and the agency's expanding enforcement operations across the country. Lyons joked about demonstrators who arrived at an ICE facility wearing neon 80s leotards, saying agents got a good chuckle, and preferred flamboyant costumes to the rocks and paint cans previously hurled at officers. Lyons highlighted the success of recent operations targeting violent offenders, including Florida's Operation Dirtbag, which removed dozens of sex offenders, convicted murderers, and other felons who remained in the country despite deportation orders. He credited Secretary Noem for naming the operation and emphasized that similar crackdowns will continue nationwide wherever state and local partners cooperate. The director also responded to concerns in California, where at least 17,000 commercial driver's licenses issued to undocumented immigrants are now being canceled amid questions about road safety and English language requirements. Lyons said ICE is working closely with states such as Indiana, Oklahoma, and Texas to identify unqualified drivers and prevent further deaths caused by sanctuary policies. Asked about former President Trump's recent comments implying that some raids may need more nuance, citing a Georgia case involving South Korean battery plant workers, Lyons insisted that every ICE operation is intelligence-driven and evaluated case by case. He said immigration law is almost as convoluted as tax law, but reiterated the agency's focus, removing the worst of the worst, while still enforcing immigration rules against anyone in the country illegally. 17-year-old illegal immigrant arrested in Texas for hammer attack on jogger. A 17-year-old man has been arrested in Plano, Texas, after allegedly attacking a woman with a hammer while she was jogging in a local park. Police report the woman was struck multiple times in the head but managed to fend off the attacker, who fled the scene. Authorities apprehended the suspect, identified as Sergio, 4 hours later. According to DHS, he is an illegal immigrant from Mexico who entered the U.S. on a tourist visa and had previously been arrested in March 2024 for burglary and larceny. He had been released back into the community under the Biden administration with a notice to appear. The woman sustained serious injuries and was hospitalized, but officials say the situation could have been worse as duct tape was found at the scene. The suspect is now charged with kidnapping with bodily injury, and IC has issued a detainer, stating he should have never been loose in our communities. Residents in the area remain on high alert, taking extra precautions while outdoors. Operation Charlotte's Web targets criminal illegal immigrants amid protests in North Carolina. Federal authorities have conducted Operation Charlotte's Web in North Carolina, aiming to remove criminal illegal immigrants from the streets around Charlotte. Since Saturday, dozens of arrests have been made, with DHS reporting 81 illegal migrants detained in just hours, many with serious criminal histories including assault, larceny, hit-and-run incidents, and DUIs. The operation specifically targets those with deportation orders who have committed severe crimes in the U.S. While law enforcement praises the operation for focusing on public safety threats, residents and protesters express fear and uncertainty, claiming that immigrants in the area now feel unsafe. A small protest outside a DHS office resulted in 2 arrests, though details remain unclear. Federal authorities emphasize that the focus is on criminals, not lawful immigrants, and IC officials highlight the challenge of addressing the consequences of previous lenient policies. Local authorities stress that cooperative measures, such as turning over individuals with detainers to IC, could help streamline enforcement. Meanwhile, debates continue over the balance between public safety and community fears, especially as the operation unfolds amid political tensions in the state.